I mean, the 4% rent pressure zones were a total failure. So this is an attempt, I don't doubt, an attempt to improve matters, and hopefully it will somewhat. But I just want to flag that I do not think that any rent increases in the current situation, or frankly any time in the foreseeable future for tenants, again, particularly in the areas most affected, which is where the rent pressure zones are located, and in the areas most affected by completely unaffordable rents. Against that background of rents of 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 and even more for pretty basic private rented accommodation, even rent increases that are less than 4% and limited to the harmonised consumer price index, I don't think are acceptable. Now, I'm not going to vote against your bill, Dara, because it's Minister, Tara, whatever. But I won't vote against it because it is a marginal improvement on the current situation. But I just want to flag that I still think we're going to find ourselves in a very significant crisis. And this, let's not forget, this is contributing directly. The inability of people to find affordable rental accommodation is directly leading to the homelessness crisis. I mean, it may be of interest of you to note, I always, there's straws in the wind, but even when I was walking into the Leinster House this morning, I was stopped by two people randomly. The first one was somebody just absolutely outraged about the stamp duty issue. And then the second one was a building worker who said that he was in a place where he was paying about 500-600 rent, manageable, but he had to leave that place, and he had started looking around for places to rent, and he couldn't find anything for a single individual that was less than €2,000, which is completely unpayable. And this isn't going to address that. And I'd like to know, has the Minister got a plan? Do you know? I really would like to know if the Minister has a plan to deal with that fact in the short term, because that's not going to deal in the short term. I mean, Dara, I have mentioned to you on multiple occasions, and the previous Minister, and I think probably the Minister before that, about the St. Helens Court residents, and they are banjaxed. They are just waiting for the vulture fund that has now actually successfully evicted them, mass evicted them from an apartment complex. They are now overholding, because the eviction date has passed, they have nowhere to go, and they are looking around, vigorously looking around, and they cannot find anything within HAP limits or within their income limits, anything even remotely close. And their landlord has evicted them because they want to increase the rents. I mean, they were all paying roughly €1,000 a month. And they tried, before the ERPZs come in, to increase their rent by 60%, the previous vulture fund. And then they've used various mechanisms to try and get them out over the last 4 years. They finally succeeded. These people now have nowhere to go. To me, that's just unacceptable. And they will now be, if they're waiting for the vulture fund to seek an enforcement order on the PRTB adjudication, and then they will be in the district court, and then the judge will say, you're out, and the council have nothing for them. And I just ask myself, what are we going to do about this? Now, in my opinion, given that situation, we should have a complete ban on evictions until we can address that. If you say your affordable housing scheme is going to sort it out for them, ban evictions until it does. But the problem is, in the immediacy, that building worker I met on the street and those people in St. Helens Court simply cannot find affordable rental. And they're working people. And they may be in homeless services in a few weeks because of that fact. What is my answer? And I'd be interested to see if Dara has any view on this, or the Minister has any view on this. But I was on, as was Owen and Cian the other day, we were on a debate in the journal.ie about housing policy, and they had an expert group that was meeting beforehand that were people expert in the area, and those experts, and this is in line with people before profit policy, were recommending that rents should be set, there should be maximum rents based on square meterage. And that happens in other countries, and that's what I personally believe should happen. The rent boards of the local authorities should simply inspect any properties that are being put up for rent in their area, and they should say that's the maximum you can charge for that, and no more. And roughly speaking, those ceilings on what you can charge should be aligned roughly to what is affordable for people on modest and average incomes. There can be exceptions around that, but that should be the broad principle. So that's what I think is necessary. I accept that this is an effort to try and improve things. I don't think, however, it's going to deal with the rental crisis or the homelessness that is flowing from the rental crisis, and I think it should. And I also think you should, as you have often said, we want to stop people going into homelessness. I can promise you they are going to continue to go into homelessness until we address that, and indeed, for the moment at least, ban evictions that are no fault or economic evictions.